Hi, everybody. Mitch Tannenbaum here. Thanks for joining me today. Today, I'm going to talk about a subject of deep interest for us, and that is choosing a managed service provider. If you're a small business, you likely have a third party that helps you with IT because you don't have the internal staff, the internal expertise to go do all of that yourself. That organization is called a managed service provider, or MSP. The challenge is that MSPs, anybody can be an MSP, and sometimes they align with your business needs, and other times not so much. I tend to call that relationship that most people have with their MSP a love-hate relationship because from the MSP standpoint, the less service they give, the more profit they make. And from the user standpoint, the less responsive they are, the less useful they are as an MSP. So picking a good one is really important and sometimes hard to do. And we help folks choose an MSP. And one of the challenges with MSPs is it's hard to undo your connection because they have control over all kinds of things. They have all kinds of access. They have software loaded on your environment. So changing MSPs is hard as well. So what are some of the things, and this is by far not an exhaustive list, but what are some of the things that you want to do? Well, if you're listening to this podcast, then you're probably concerned about cybersecurity. So you want to understand what your MSP's view is on cybersecurity, because cybersecurity makes more work for the MSP if they haven't figured that into the equation. Then when you are demanding them to be secure, they're going to basically say to themselves, "Well, they didn't pay for this." And so you have this tension. So you want to understand what their cybersecurity perspective is. You probably have some kind of security compliance framework you have to deal with, like the NIST cybersecurity framework or HIPAA or CMMC. You want to make sure that that particular MSP that you've chosen or thinking about choosing, is aligned and understands what they need to understand about using that particular framework. You want to make sure their staff is trained from a cybersecurity perspective. Uh, and you want to make sure that you have a written contract that outlines who's doing what. Part of that is something called a shared responsibility matrix. Sometimes it's called a customer responsibility matrix. I don't like that term because it really is shared. It's not just you. And if it is just you, that's a problem. So the shared responsibility matrix outlines what they're going to do and what you have to do. And it should be really clear. You should go look at that. It should be written in English, and you should be able to understand it by looking at it. If you can't, then you need to go back to the drawing board. And if when you ask them for their shared responsibility matrix, they look like a deer in the headlights, then you probably want to rethink using them as a managed service provider. You want to make sure that they have an incident response program because they could be the target of a cybersecurity incident and likely are because they support a bunch of customers. So you want to make sure their incident response program and their disaster response program are good. So those are just some of the things that you might want to consider when choosing an MSP. Um, and I kind of liken choosing MSP to getting married. You really want to choose well going in because getting a divorce is really hard and expensive. But if you are thinking about getting married or thinking about getting a divorce from your MSP, then give us a call. We'll be happy to help you. And hopefully it goes very smoothly and you pick the right one. So until next time, thanks for listening and stay safe.